Alright, how is it going, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. This is probably going to be the final video I upload for the year 2024. Man, what a year it's been. First, I just want to say thanks for all the support this year. Truly has meant the world to me. Hopefully 2025 can go even harder in the paint. I definitely have a lot of plans for the channel this year, and I've already got like a whole schedule of things I want to play and cover kind of mapped out, at least for, you know, the next couple months or so. But this also might be the first video I upload of 2025. It just depends on how long this takes. I haven't done a video like this before. This is a video I've wanted to do for a very long time. And I'm just going to go ahead and apologize in advance. Might be a little bit of yapping in the beginning. I'll do a timestamp if you guys just want to skip to when I'm ranking these. But yeah, as you can see, we are going to be doing something different today. We are ranking the 15 games that I played either extensively or beat. And these are 15 games that released in 2024, so I'm not including things that didn't come out this year. Technically, like one or two of these were in early access and were playable before 2024, but full release wasn't until this year. So, and some of these rankings aren't exactly 100% definitive either. Some are, but not all of them. Either way, this is just something fun I thought about doing and I wanted to do it. So enough yapping. Let's just go ahead and start ranking these. We're on Tier Maker. We got all of these games here. We've got these tiers. We have a Game of the Year. We have Game of the Year contenders. These are games that are pretty close and were generally some of my favorites this year, but I couldn't give them Game of the Year. Then we have Great, which, you know, games that are pretty great. And then we have Fun But Not Great, which if you guys watch the streams a lot and you're in the Discord, you know that, you know, Fun But Not Great, kind of like a meme on the channel, mostly thanks to our boy Charles Paralo. And then we have Mid, because frankly, you know, I can't really say that any of these games I played this year are like bad per se, but Mid is the lowest tier and there will be a couple on there. But yeah, those are the rankings. This should be pretty fun. So let's go ahead and start with number 15. So coming in last place, number 15, I'm going to have to give it to Silent Hill: The Short Message. I actually did enjoy this game. If you guys don't know, this was like a free 2-hour-long little Silent Hill game. Those first person, kind of like PT a little bit, that released for the PS5 at the beginning of the year. I actually thought this was a 2023 game. I had to check, but no, it's 2024. But, you know, it's okay. Like, I enjoyed it. I thought the first person perspective was nice. I thought the graphics were good. But overall, this game was incredibly freaking depressing. And on top of that, you know, it's only like 2 hours long. And there wasn't like any sort of combat or anything or any crazy puzzles from what I remember. It was mostly just going through a little self-contained story and walking through some hallways and whatnot and, like, you know, running from one monster. Definitely didn't hate this by any means. I actually kind of in a way preferred this over the next game on my list, but that game is much longer and has much more content, so there's more bang for your buck, I guess. But this one's free, so, you know, the bang for your buck don't really matter. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to not put this in last place, even though I do think it was fine. So yeah, number 15, Silent Hill: The Short Message. Now coming in 14th place, we have Pizza Souls, as I like to call it, aka Anotria, the last song. I'm gonna be honest, I regret buying this game. I don't think it's bad. You know, it's like Dark Souls combat, but it's set in like a Italian setting. It's got some unique parts to it. It's got a lot of, you know, stuff to go after and get. There's plenty of replay value, I imagine. But this game, frankly, is just way too overpriced. I bought it for $50 on launch. Man, it was not worth $50. This game kind of feels like it needed another year or two to cook. The gameplay was very subpar, and the boss fights were basically just sit and do like the same little parry animation over and over. I don't know, this game just didn't feel fluid at all. Not a terrible game. Maybe it would be higher if it wasn't $50. I mean, you can buy Elden Ring for almost that price. You probably can buy Elden Ring for that price now. Solid game, you know, hopefully I don't get some hate for that pick. Again, most of these are, this list is really just for fun more than anything. It's not like I'm 100% definitive on every single ranking. I enjoyed all these games this year to some extent, but yeah, I don't know. That game's pretty disappointing. You know, no hate to the devs if somehow you're watching this video. I highly doubt it. Good foundation in a way, but gameplay needed some improvements. Didn't feel like it was worth $50, but anyways, that's our number 14 spot, A No Tree of the Last Song, Pizza Souls. Got some good streams out of it, so, you know, I'll take that. Coming in our 13th slot, we have the game that just got absolutely killed by Ubisoft, XDefiant. Also, I need to swap these because I want to do basically like whatever's closest to the left side of the tier is going to be the best game in that tier. So, but anyways, XDefiant, number 13. There's not really much to say about this game, especially now that it's freaking dead and you won't be able to play it in like a week or two or whatever. Servers gonna be shut down. I thought that this game was fun when it came out. You know, it was a good blend of like Call of Duty with some like hero elements, like Overwatch style elements, I guess, with the characters and the abilities. It had good gunplay. It had no SBMM, which was great, but I actually think that no SBMM contributed to the death of this game. Hot take. This really shouldn't even really be a hot take, to be honest, but SBMM is one of those things where, yeah, it sucks, and us hardcore guys definitely love to rag on it and say that it ruins the game. But at the end of the day, they would not have SBMM in these games if it wasn't helping their player base and helping their money. Unfortunately, us hardcore guys are the vocal minority, and this game is kind of proof of that. On top of that, another con with this game isn't really with the game itself, but the launch. I think the launch of this game also hurt it really bad. XDefiant was originally going to launch during Modern Warfare 2's life cycle, the garbage 2022 version of Modern Warfare 2. That, in my opinion, is the worst Call of Duty of all time. That would have been the perfect time to launch this game, but instead they waited far too long because of server issues, and they launched it during a relatively good Call of Duty game, which was Modern Warfare 3, and then it was a few months away from Black Ops 6 coming out, and Black Ops 6 obviously buried any interest in this game. So, you know, I think this game could have survived, maybe, but unfortunately, the complete catering to the hardcore fans, as well as the launch window for this game, just killed it, and now Ubisoft is shutting it down. So F in the chat for anyone who grinded out the mastery camos or bought bundles. Rest in peace to your sanity. And this game is a great reason, great example as to why I have started buying physical games again. Because, I mean, you could put time and money into this game and they're just taking it away. Not that you could get this game physically, it was free, but you get my point. Anyways, rip XDefiant. You will be missed, kind of, not really. Solid game, but, you know, a lot of bad decisions by Ubisoft and the devs kind of left it in the dust. Although I do want to just go ahead and say before somebody yaps at me in the comments, I do not like SBMM, but you can't deny the facts. Activision loves money. If SBMM was hurting their money, they would get rid of it. It's that simple. SBMM helps casuals. Anyways, number 13, XDefiant. Rest up, bro. Coming in at the number 12 spot, what do we have? We have the First Descendant, aka every gooner's favorite live service game. If you guys don't know, First Descendant is essentially a Destiny style game where, you know, is a PvE looter shooter kind of game, whatever. It's also widely known at this point for having some absolutely crazy outfits and character designs. God bless the South Koreans. This game is solid. I couldn't really quite put in great. Maybe I could, I don't know, but for now we're just gonna put in fun but not great. And the only reason is that for me, I think this game was a lot of fun, especially as a recovering Destiny addict. You know, this game was a breath of fresh air. It was nice to have a game like Destiny that wasn't Destiny, and I really enjoyed the campaign. I thought the game at first kind of seemed like it was gonna be bland, but then I ended up actually getting pretty like hooked into it. But once I beat the campaign, I realized that this game's end game was basically non-existent, and the true end game of this game is to make your character as goon worthy as humanly possible. Because games like Destiny, Borderlands, although I never really got into Borderlands end game, but I assume it was kind of like this, but those games have in-game content that really can't be accessed during the main campaign, is completely unique, and has completely unique rewards. That kind of stuff makes you want to actually, you know, play the end game. From what I remember, at least on launch, maybe I'm wrong, maybe some First Descendant hardcore player is going to come in and correct me, and maybe they fixed this with the seasons. I haven't touched this game since it came out, but the end game had basically nothing unique to it that you couldn't already do in the campaign. It was like, oh, do these things at a harder level and like buff up your character a little bit and like get all the characters, which To unlock all the characters was a ridiculous grind because they really freaking wanted you to buy the characters, which I get it, free to play game, whatever. But most of the end game was just grinding way too hard to get characters that you could just pull out your wallet for, or it was just like buffing up your characters a little bit to do the same content over and over again, slightly harder. Like the end game experience, from what I remember, was not unique, didn't really have anything unique to offer about it, and that really held this game back, because if you're going to make a successful looter shooter kind of game, you have to have a strong end game. And unfortunately, this game did not have it. If it did, I might still be playing this game because I did enjoy the game and the gameplay and everything. But again, you know, you got to have a strong end game. If you guys still play this game, you'll have to let me know, how has the end game progressed with the seasons? Have they actually added some interesting, unique stuff to the game? I have no idea. It just, honestly, every time I see anything about this game, it's about like some new skimpy freaking outfit, and it's about, you know, adding jiggle physics. Like everything about this game is just a Gooner's paradise. I don't even know what the actual gameplay or content is in that game anymore, but you know what, regardless, good game, fun but not great. Maybe I'll come back to it, we'll see. But yeah, First Descendant, number 12. Let's go ahead and move on to number 11. All right, number 11, what will it be? What will it be? Boom. Marvel Rivals, the new kid on the block. Actually, let me go ahead and move that to great, because I do think that is great. But yeah, this is the Overwatch killer, as the kids love to say. This is a game that when I went into it, I was expecting this to just be a cheap, mobile-like piece of crap that was overrated and would die in like 10 days. Just because watching the gameplay and everything, it just didn't look that exciting. It looked very bland in terms of gameplay, but I gotta say, I was completely wrong. I haven't played this game a ton. In fact, I literally just unlocked ranked or whatever. I do want to play it, but there's a lot of other things that I'm currently playing, so I'm not over here grinding this game out. But this game is a lot of fun. It has an immense amount of characters. It runs super well, plays really well. It does a really good job of like portraying like the Marvel characters and their abilities, and like it even has this unique mechanic in the game that like other hero shooters don't have, which is if you combine certain characters together in a group, they have like special features that kind of are lore accurate in a way. So like if you have Groot and Rocket together, then Rocket can jump on Groot's shoulder, and stuff like that is really cool. So definitely a very solid game. It's new. I still have a lot of time I need to put into it, so we'll see how it kind of progresses amongst the ranks, but I'm definitely putting it here for now because I do think that this game is better than these. Maybe not like that much better than First Descendant, but again, you know, I need to come back to First Descendant and see what's up. I would say my one biggest critique with this game is that it doesn't seem to really have any sort of progression outside of just grinding ranks on ranked play. Like I know that you can get like a calling card and a spray if you play a character enough, but that's really not enough. However, it was brought to my attention that this game has never-ending battle passes, which is a massive freaking W. My god, I wish more games would do that. The only other game that does that is Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite. Why is it that those 343 garbage games have to be the only ones with never-ending battle passes? I'm sorry if you like new 343 Halo. I'm not going to get into that. God rest the remaining Halo fan base at this point. And you know, they're trying to rebrand and say we're Halo Studios now. Totally different company, not 343. Whatever, freaking have your Unreal Engine Halo where Master Chief looks thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. I don't even, let me go ahead and stop right there. I'm talking about Marvel Rivals, not Halo. I can't. 343 tilts me, tweaks me harder than you could ever imagine. But yeah, anyways, Marvel Rivals, very solid game. Definitely want to play it more. That's going to be our number 11 pick. Coming in at the number 10 spot, I'm going to get absolutely murdered for this pick by a certain individual that claims this is the masterpiece of mankind. Please don't unsub, don't hate me for this, but we got Silent Hill 2 Remake coming in at the number 10 spot. Now, here's the thing. This game was very good. This game looked very good. This game had a very good story. It had a very good soundtrack. Honestly, so much about the game was great. And we are in the territory, by the way, where I think these 10, for me personally, all the games remaining are like top tier. I think Marvel Rivals and below is kind of like the decent to kind of like lesser tiers or whatever. Again, I think Marvel Rivals is great, but you know, not a ton to it, and I still need to play it more, so I kind of have it there. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 Remake and onward, these are like some really freaking good games. But yeah, I have it at number 10. Like I said, looks great, great story, great setting for a horror game. It has all the classic areas that you would expect in a horror game. I never played the original Silent Hill 2. The only other Silent Hill games that I played before this one was PT, which is the GOAT, even though it's not even a game, and then the Silent Hill Short Message, which I have down here. I think this game is great. The only reasons that I don't have it higher is that a lot of these games I just spent so much time in and were very, very unique and hit very, very hard. Also, I do think that Silent Hill 2 Remake is a little too easy and it's not super scary. But overall, you know, as my boy would say, it's a masterpiece. Anyways, let's just go ahead and move on to number 9 because I don't really have much more to say about that game. It was definitely solid. Coming in at the number 9 spot, this is a game that is another remake, and it's one that a lot of people probably haven't played, and that is the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. This game is very unique. I never played a Dragon Quest game before, and honestly, I never thought I would play a game like this. It is a remake of Dragon Quest III, which was a game that came out in the 80s, I think. You know, it was like a super classic looking RPG like the OG Zeldas. It's been remade into like a 2D, 3D hybrid with like pixel art graphics. It's like the coziest freaking vibe ever of a game. The music is amazing. And it is a turn-based JRPG, which turn-based games have never really been my thing. The first one that I really played was KOTOR, which I did like, but I never finished it. And then I played Baldur's Gate 3, and in my opinion, maybe I just suck at video games, but Baldur's Gate 3 turn-based is the hardest crap of all time. If I ever come back to that game, I'm playing it on easy. But turn-based JRPGs are definitely a lot more my style if they're anything like this game. It was very easy to get into, very easy to play. Like I said, great music, cozy vibe, a great way to remake a classic, had plenty of fun exploration. It's just a very heartwarming, fun, nice vibe of a game. My only complaints about this one would be I don't like how the armor that you get in the game doesn't change the look of your character. Also, my biggest critique of this game by far is the constant freaking battles. So the way this game works essentially is that every like 5 to 10 seconds while you're moving with your party, unless you pop like a little spell that makes it to where enemies can ignore you if you're a higher level, you're gonna get hit by a battle. And you have two options. You either fight the battle or you try to flee. Fleeing can work a lot of the times, but it doesn't always work. Either way, regardless, this happens literally every freaking 5 to 10 seconds without fail. While you're trying to explore the world, and my god, does that get old after a while. It would have been really nice if you could just like avoid some of these battles to begin with, just pick your battles, because you know, when you're like 40 hours deep and you're trying to beat the game or what, I don't remember how long I played, 30, 40, whatever. When you've been playing for a long time and you're trying to beat the game, and you know, you're just going back through an area or whatever, and you have to deal with another battle, and it gets old after a while. But that's kind of my biggest critique of the game. I do think that the turn-based combat, you know, is actually fun and interesting, and I like the strategy involved. And they had some cool settings to make it to where you could like speed up the fights. I thought that was really nice. When you play on default, the speed of the fights is pretty slow, but if you have ADHD, brain rot like I do, you can crank it to ultra fast and just be going through the fights pretty quick. I still wish you could avoid certain fights though, but you know what, it is what it is. But Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, highly recommend it. Check it out if you want like a cozy, nice vibe of a game. Anyways, let me stop yapping. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 8 spot. All right, coming in at the number 8 spot, we have a game that honestly, it saddens me to rank it this low, because when this game came out, I thought it would be game of the year, like no contest. But 2024 ended up being an absolute heavy hitter of a year, and unfortunately this game had some issues that really held it back from being game of the year, but it is on the rise again, and that is Helldivers 2. Man, what a unique, unexpected game. This game kind of came out of nowhere. Still is the best multiplayer experience of the year, bar none. There's so much to love about this game. For starters, as somebody who grew up with Halo and, like I said earlier, hates 343 and what they've done to the franchise and Microsoft's freaking incompetence for letting them continue the franchise. To me, this game does the classic Halo feel better than 343 does. This game feels like you're an ODST dropping in. The soundtrack is amazing. The theme around the game with the, you know, for democracy, like all that, like the goofy theme is amazing. Again, the multiplayer experience is so good because this is like the only game in history that I can think of where if they actually removed team killing, the game would be worse. Like every other game, if they removed team killing, I think it would be better, except for this one. There's just something so hilarious about throwing in airstrikes, accidentally killing your teammate with a freaking barrage, an accidental grenade throw that blows your teammate into chunks and they fly across the map. Like everything about that is so hilarious. This game also has an incredible take on live service in the sense that it ties the story in with the live service. So like you'll have a major order or whatever to go and clear out a group of bugs, hold them back, and then next week they'll be like, great work, Helldivers, here's your reward. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, there's another enemy, and then if you like fail something, they'll update it and be like, well, they took it over, so now you got to do this. Like the community is directly involved with the story and the events of the live service in a way that makes it very unique. It's a very unique concept for a game as well. It's kind of like an extraction shooter a little bit, but it's also got its own twist on things. And they've definitely updated the crap out of this game. There's so many weapons, so many, you know, armor sets. Lots of great things about this game. But unfortunately, what holds this game back is they had two massive blunders earlier this year. First one is they did a forced PlayStation account linking for every PC player, which on the surface doesn't seem like a big deal. I mean, so many games force you to link accounts. But the problem with this is that PSN is not available in a bunch of countries. So a lot of people who bought this game, whenever that update came around, they just couldn't play it anymore, which is a massive slap in the face. I don't even think there were any refunds either. Like, I don't remember exactly how this whole situation unfolded because I didn't really care too much personally, but I know it affected a lot of people. And that was like the first thing that really cooked this game's reputation. And then right after that, the devs started nerfing and balancing so many things and making the game less fun. This is a PvE game. This is not a PvP game. You know, the freaking bugs and the robots aren't going to get on Reddit and start complaining that the Helldivers are absolutely cooking them with some new gun. Like, that's just not going to happen. But regardless, they still decided, let's nerf a bunch of stuff. Let's try to change the meta. And I get it. Like, in a way, it's good to keep things fresh. Like, if something is just blatantly ridiculous and nobody's using anything else, then sure, you know, find a way to change it up. But from what I remember, they were changing too much, making the game a lot less fun, a lot harder, because some of the higher difficulties are already pretty difficult. But yeah, they made some bad decisions in a short amount of time, and the player base just fell off a cliff. However, recently, the game has made a comeback. You know, they finally added the Illuminate. They've still added a bunch of content, and they have focused on, you know, the fun again. Who would have thought that that would bring players back? Oh my god! Wow! So they've definitely made some good decisions, and I do kind of want to come back to this game. However, because it is so multiplayer focused, you know, it's one of those things where the solo experience, while doable, isn't really the best. And lately I've just been playing solo a lot, but maybe I can get the boys together and play some more Helldivers. We'll see. But regardless, fantastic game. It's just kind of hard to rank because the live service model inherently has given this game a lot of ups and a lot of downs, so it's hard to rank as a full package, and who knows where it will be in the future. But for now, we're just gonna put it here at the number 8 spot. I thought you'd be number 1 at the beginning of the year, but you know, in true live service fashion, you never know what's gonna happen. But let's move on to our number 7 spot. All right, coming in at the number 7 spot. Now, I do want to say a lot of these games in this section of the ranking are pretty close to one another. So if one gets ranked above the other for the next like few placements, it doesn't necessarily mean that I love that game way more. They're all pretty close, but you know, you got to rank it somehow. But number 7 spot has to go to the most underrated zombies game that I've ever played, and a game that really did wonders for my channel, and that is Sker Ritual. A lot of people may be like, bruh, how you have it over Helldivers, Dragon Quest, Silent Hill, whatever. This game was made by 5 people and is genuinely better than a decent amount of Call of Duty Zombies installments. And on top of that, I still think that Sker Ritual does some things better than even like Black Ops 6. Now, I don't know exactly if I'd say it's better than Black Ops 6. They're pretty close. But regardless, this is pretty much the definitive Call of Duty Zombies competitor at the moment. And it's pretty much the only one I can think of. You know, there's obviously been like very, very tiny little indie games that have tried to do round-based zombies. But for the most part, they were a little too indie. Whereas this one, it does have some quirks to it. It's on an older engine. It's not the smoothest running game of all time. Gameplay could be a little bit better. And again, just to clarify, in case some of you don't know what this game is, like if you're coming to the channel and you know you haven't watched my zombies videos before, this is basically a Call of Duty Zombies clone. And I don't mean that with disrespect. I think it's great that we have more games like that. COD Zombies is a very slept on mode that honestly needs more competition. Also, this came out during MWZ, so it absolutely bodied the current Call of Duty Zombies title at the time, as well as the one before that, because the one before that was Vanguard. And honestly, hot take, Sker Ritual's better than Cold War. I said what I said. I guess to go through the pros and cons real quick, I did already talk about it a little bit, but in my opinion, it's the best take on COD Zombies that isn't COD Zombies. It had unique maps that had aura and personality at a time where Call of Duty wasn't doing that. The guided and hardcore Easter egg system is fantastic. In my opinion, it's still better than directive mode in BO6. I think the miracle system is really good. It allows you to basically have like a roguelike sort of build system in the game. Vanguard Zombies kind of had that, but we don't talk about Vanguard. In my opinion, the miracles are way better. It's got lots of progression, and I love the fact that this is a true zombies only game. We still don't have that zombies only Call of Duty game where Sker Ritual is just round-based zombies. That is one thing I really appreciate about it. It's got plenty of content. All the DLC is free, except for cosmetics, of course, but there's plenty of free cosmetics you can get too. And then, like I said, for the cons, you know, the engine they're running on is Unity. It feels a little bit old, a little bit outdated compared to Call of Duty, which is to be expected. Hopefully Sker Ritual 2, if they decide to go forward with that, will be on a newer engine, feel a little bit smoother. The unlimited revive tokens, unless you're playing on Nightmare, was not the best idea in my opinion. You know, I think it made the game a little too easy. I pretty much only ever played this game on Nightmare, because if you weren't playing on Nightmare, then you honestly would never lose a match. Unless you're just really bad with your money, which, hey, relatable. I do want to say that by the time this video goes up, or very, very soon, I'm going to be streaming myself playing the PS5 version, going for the Platinum, which I just want to say, I heard people say the PS5 version had issues on launch. I don't know if they just locked in tremendously or what, but the PS5 version of Sker Ritual looks and plays incredible. And this is somebody who's been playing on PC. That performance mode, let me tell you, as somebody who's been playing a lot of performance mode on PS5 games, Sker Ritual performance mode looks so much better than a lot of other games' performance modes on this list. So W devs, it actually runs and plays way better than I was expecting it to. So W game, definitely want to play it more. Go check it out if you like Call of Duty Zombies or just zombie style games. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the number 6 spot. Coming in at the number 6 spot is a game with the number 6 in it. It's Black Ops 6. I'm also going to put it in great right next to Sker Ritual. In my opinion, as it stands, these two are basically neck and neck. While Black Ops 6 has campaign, it has multiplayer, it technically has Warzone, whatever. When it comes down to it, I'm really just comparing the zombies of these two. I think that BO6 is going to end up being better than Sker Ritual by the end of its lifespan. I think that it's been a nice course correction for Call of Duty Zombies. Terminus was a solid map. Liberty Falls was a solid little bonus map, and Citadel Daymore is a really, really good map. There's a lot of things that I'm really happy about with this game. I would say that this feels more like a classic Call of Duty than like the last 5 Call of Duties that we've gotten. It's got classic prestige system, which is amazing. The multiplayer is pretty solid, although again, I haven't really been playing it a ton. Zombies, in my opinion, is the best since Black Ops 3, maybe 4. Hard to say. I didn't play a ton of Black Ops 4. I still haven't like done all the Easter eggs and everything. I played it a decent amount, but you know, I still have a lot that I need to like go back and learn on that game. But regardless, best zombies since, you know, the BO3, BO4 era for now. And you know, it seems like it's only going to get better. We'll see how it ends up by the end of the DLC season. And then of course it has way more progression across like every mode. Even campaign has more progression, so that's very nice. Lately Call of Duty's been like following the IW route of just strip away all progression and fun and just freaking camp in a corner with a claymore and, you know, oh, pretty graphics, look at our reload animations. Like, thank God Treyarch decided to go back to what actually matters. I would say if I had to give cons for this game, I would say that so far I'm kind of disappointed in the campaign. I really loved the Cold War campaign. BO6 campaign just did not hook me in the same way. I'm not even sure if I'm going to finish it. Again, I rant about this every time I talk about the campaign, but as a zombies YouTuber, as a Call of Duty YouTuber, this freaking campaign should have released early. I started it late and I don't even know if I'm going to finish it because I've had a lot of issues with recording it and I've had to like replay missions. So I don't know, campaign's just kind of been a little bit of a letdown. It might be decent. I might go back to it. We'll see. I don't know. And then another con, I would say that the boss spam in zombies, even after some of the updates with the manglers, is just way too much. We got to tone those bosses down and we got to stop reusing bosses in maps. What happened to the days where each map had a unique boss? You know, why do we have to have like every boss thrown into every map in a way? We don't need the amalgam in Citadel Daymore, and we don't need the parasites and the bugs reused over and over in every map. Like, where's the dog round? Like, you know, those are my cons. Honestly, not really a lot of bad things to say about BO6. I think this is the best Call of Duty that we've gotten in a long time, but you know, at the end of the day, it is Call of Duty, so it's not like gonna be at the top of the list, but it probably won't be at the bottom either, so we kind of have it in the middle. But you know, it is what it is. Very excited for the future of Black Ops 6. Hopefully Call of Duty can continue in this direction. But yeah, anyways, now we're gonna move on to the top 5 games of 2024. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have a game that I have not finished yet, which by the way, I do want to say that I didn't finish Anotria either, but I do plan on finishing this game right here, which is Dragon's Dogma 2. I think that this game is going to have to go into Game of the Year contenders. I heard a lot of stuff about this game when it was new. A lot of people were like, it's Dragon's Dogma 1 again. It's very mid, like it's not Game of the Year contender, whatever. And look, I did play Dragon's Dogma 1 for a little bit. In my opinion, Dragon's Dogma 2 is basically the same game, but better to me. This game, in my opinion, is like the ideal medieval fantasy kind of RPG. You know, it's got pretty much everything that you want. It's got trolls, goblins, freaking dragons, you know, it's got a nice like big open world. It's got a character creator. It's got tons of different classes and RPG mechanics. It's not too hard, so like if you don't like Souls games and maybe Elden Ring's not your cup of tea, I would highly recommend coming to this. This is kind of more like Skyrim in a way. But as far as like the pros and cons, the vocation class system, absolutely love that system. A vocation is a class, and within that class you can only use certain armor sets and certain weapons, but you also have certain abilities, and as you play the class you level it up and you get access to more abilities, more perks to put in, which sounds like a typical class system, but the difference is that you can go and change your vocation pretty much whenever you want. It's not a hassle at all. It's super easy, and that makes it very easy and fun to just try every different class. You know, it's as much as I love the Souls games, you kind of have to like stick to a build and commit to it, because if you don't, then, you know, if you try to like change over to something else later in the game, you're gonna regret it. Whereas with the vocation system, so far I've just been able to try a bunch of different stuff out and not feel like I'm getting absolutely pummeled for it or I'm missing out on things. So really like that. Like I said, character creator is insane in this game. Like, you can literally make yourself in this game, or you can make an abomination. For some of you that might be the same thing, but the world seems very big as well, and there's always like lots of things to go and do and explore, which is really nice. I really like the boss battles in this game and the first Dragon's Dogma. I like how it feels like a huge battle. You know, you're climbing a big beast and you can chop off like certain parts of them to like get certain items, and it's kind of like Shadow of the Colossus. Very cool. I know like a lot of what this game does is what the first game already did. And so for a lot of people that like brings it down a few points because they were expecting a lot more, but I'm just gonna rank and judge this game based on what it does. And like I said, I think the setting's perfect. Definitely my kind of game. I really only have one con for this. That would be that the quests do a terrible job of explaining where to go or what to do sometimes. Almost every quest that I get into, if it isn't like something really simple, I'm pretty much having to pull up a YouTube video. And if you go to the comments, everybody's saying the same thing, that they got to pull up a YouTube video. So like some of the quest markers and stuff are really bad. And you know, for some people, the lack of super easy or consistent fast travel is a really bad thing. There's a lot of backtracking, a lot of like on foot exploration that you got to do in this game. There's no mount or anything as far as I can tell. So for some people, that's definitely a negative. I don't mind it. I kind of like it. This is a game that I still need to finish, but I've already put like 30-40 hours into it. So I felt like I played it enough to give a review on it. Definitely looking forward to playing that more. Yeah, that's going to be my number 5 game of 2024. All right, coming in at the number 4 spot, we have one of the most controversial games of the year, and that is going to be Stellar Blade. Now, this game is controversial because this is really the first game in a long time that had a very out there female character as the main character in like a big budget game. You know, because for a while, like, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. Honestly, I don't care about this topic as much as some people do. I think just the discourse about this topic in general from both sides has gotten out of hand. But I will say, like, for a while, a lot of games, you know, definitely not doing what Stellar Blade was doing, if you know what I'm saying. This game, South Korean developed. If there's one thing South Koreans know how to do with video games, it's bake some cake. Regardless, the reason this is my number 4 is that you could take away the main character and this would still be a fantastic game. This is kind of like a Souls-like-ish third-person action, somewhat linear, somewhat open-world game. It's got a very interesting story. I've seen a lot of people compare it to like The Matrix, which I guess is pretty valid. The gameplay is great. It runs and looks really good on PS5 and especially PS5 Pro. One of the few games where PS5 Pro really does put in work. So the game does look and play very good. I've gotten the platinum on this game. Now, that just goes to show you that I definitely enjoyed it. And yeah, just overall, like, the combat was really fun. Runs and looks great. Good mix of linear and open world design. Although I will say that the 2 open world sections of this game look a little too similar. I would have preferred some diversity in the locations, but regardless, not too big of a deal. The music is also really freaking addicting. It's not the kind of music I would listen to, but if you play this game, that music will be stuck in your head 100%. And there's a lot of like really cool story moments, cinematic set pieces, and just overall, you know, very solid game. Very fun action game with a lot of beautiful things to look at. I would say my only real cons of this game is, one, I would have liked, and this is kind of like a little bit of a spoiler, so like if you haven't beaten this game, you know, maybe don't listen to this, I don't know. I would have liked a new weapon. It's kind of unfortunate they only had one weapon for the whole game, but regardless, it's not really an RPG, so I understand. Combat does not get old, and there's plenty of like abilities and stuff you get to have and unlock that keeps it fresh. And then I would say that the save system is absolutely terrible for this game. Like, every other game like this has like a perfect auto save. If you're playing Elden Ring and you're in the middle of getting your cheeks clapped by a group of frogs and then suddenly an earthquake hits your house and you have to come back and rebuild everything, and you aren't able to play the game for another 7 months, and then you kick the PlayStation, and then you turn the PlayStation online, put Elden Ring back in, guess where you're loading back into? Getting absolutely clapped by that group of frogs. The save system in Souls games, the save system in so many of these other games on the list are perfect, and you have Stellar Blade, which basically has no real autosave unless you're in like big story moments. I actually lost an hour of fishing progress trying to go for the platinum because I forgot that you have to save at the little telephones. So I just turned the game off and just lost an hour of progress sitting there fishing at a pond. So that was kind of annoying. It's not a huge deal. Most people aren't really going to have a big problem with this, but just remember to save often because the autosave's not the best. But regardless, that's not really a big con for the game. This is definitely one of the best games of the year. I didn't really know exactly where to rank it, but I feel like this is a good spot. So I'm gonna leave it here. You know, this is one of those games that piques your interest because of the character design, And then once you actually play it, you get completely hooked in by the actual game and gameplay. So definitely recommend it. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the top 3. All right, coming in at the number 3 spot, we have a game that I've been playing a lot again. I'm currently going for the platinum on it, and it might move up 1 spot on this list. Who knows? It already has moved up a few spots since I originally wrote out my ranking, and that is the most Giga Chad game of all time, Space Marine 2. Can you go over there? Okay, there we go. This game is just amazing. Like, I don't even, there's really not much more to say. This feels like a classic 360 game in the sense that, you know, you just got the linear campaign with the epic set pieces. You got some co-op missions. You got some classic multiplayer. It's not really trying to do anything crazy. It just knows what it is and it does it well. And there's surprisingly a lot more replay value and content in this game than I thought there originally was, because when I first played this game, I streamed it on PC. Some of you might have watched that. Those were very fun streams. But I just played the campaign, and I did like 1 co-op mission maybe, and then kind of moved on. But I got it on PlayStation because I've been in a platinum kick, and just honestly, I'm kind of going back to just playing games on console again. You know, PC's great, but I kind of want to own my games and also not have to deal with the hassle of PC, because literally, I tried playing Helldivers the other day, and the game wouldn't launch because I had to download some freaking compatibility DLL file from the internet just to launch the game. Like, come on, PC, what are you doing? But regardless, I'm not really trying to get into all that. You play whatever you want to play, I don't care. But I have been playing this on PlayStation again, and I already beat the campaign, and I've beaten all the operations, and I've beaten some of them again on harder difficulties. There's so much to love in this game. Just to go down the list, you know, Giga Chad game. I mean, that's just what you feel like when you play this. You know, you're just tearing down hordes and hordes of aliens with absolutely insane executions and animations, and the blood and the gore is crazy, and just the theme of the game is just freaking fighting with your boys, you know, for the Emperor. It's got a super beefy feel to it. The guns are beefy, the melee is beefy, even your movement is beefy. You know, especially if you're on PS5 and you have like the haptic feedback in the controller, man, it feels like you're actually in that freaking suit of armor. But yeah, the melee combat and the animations are great. It's got a lot of like cool progression and stuff after the game. So like campaign, you know, you're playing as Titus, you're doing your thing. And then once you beat the campaign, you get access to a class system, which not only has stuff from the campaign kind of broken up into specific classes, but also it has new stuff that wasn't in the campaign. And you have the PvE operations, which are, you know, co-op missions, or you could play them solo with bots. These are basically like just as long and just as epic as the actual campaign missions. So you pretty much have another campaign and a half after you beat the campaign. The missions are super cool. Some of the boss fights even throw in some crazy mechanics and are really epic. And you have multiple different difficulties, and I still haven't played multiplayer yet, but I imagine it's going to be very, very fun. And I will have to play for the platinum, of course. But I will say some of these harder difficulties have been kicking my butt. And this is kind of a live service game. They are continuing to update it. They have seasons. You know, they just added like a new operation, new enemy and stuff. But I don't think it's like a full live service. Like they're not like over here spamming new content every week. And all that stuff is free except for cosmetics, which is, of course, a W. You get a complete package on day one whenever you buy this game. It's not like you're getting some unfinished game where they have to update in all the content. Like, you got the full thing, and they're just giving you some nice little bonuses along the way, so absolutely love this game. It's the first game to really get me interested in Warhammer, and now I'm kind of on a kick where like I want to play a lot of other Warhammer games and see what the lore is about. Very excited for the Henry Cavill Warhammer show. Hopefully that is going to be an absolute masterpiece, just like Space Marine 2. But anyways, that's our number 3 spot. Let's go ahead and move on to the top 2, baby. And yes, in case you didn't realize, I didn't have a single con for that game. I don't think there is one. I can't think of one, honestly. It just shows how good it is. So coming in at the number 2 spot. Now, originally, this was my game of the year, but it got overtaken. And once I drag this bad boy up, you'll know what my game of the year is by process of elimination. But my number 2 runner-up, second best game of 2024 is one that has not been talked about enough, and it's very underrated in my opinion, and that is Rise of the Ronin. God, my throat is getting cooked after all this yapping. This is going to be a much longer video than I thought this was going to be. Again, I apologize, like, if this isn't the best tier ranking video or anything. This is, like, my first one, really, so, you know, bear with me. But yeah, Rise of the Ronin is a PS5 exclusive action RPG set in Japan in, like, what was it, like, the 1800s? I don't know, something like that. This game was super slept on, in my opinion. It's open world, very faithful recreation of Japan from that era. It's got an interesting, somewhat realistic story, obviously. It's not 100% realistic, but they do try to tie in, like, some realistic characters and moments and stuff into the story, which is really cool. It's made by the same people that recently made the Nioh games, and as somebody who loves Souls games, Nioh is pretty much among the best Souls-like games. And this basically is Nioh open world. I would say one of the reasons this game got kind of slept on is the graphics. A lot of people said the graphics were mid, and a lot of people compared this game to Ghost of Tsushima, which looked way better and more realistic, which is fair. Keep in mind, I've never really played Ghost of Tsushima, so maybe my opinion on Rise of the Ronin would change when I play that. I did play it for about like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't remember. I played like the little opening or whatever a while back. But for me, Rise of the Ronin just focuses entirely on the fun. You know, you have a lot of cool things you can use. You have some guns here and there. You have a flamethrower, which is pretty cool. You have a glider where you can fly around. And of course, you have a crazy amount of weapons, a crazy amount of customization. You have a customizable character, which, in my opinion, character creation is always going to be king. I actually made my dude Guts from Berserk, which was awesome because I just finished watching the anime for the first time. And so to play this game as Guts with a freaking giant greatsword was super cool. This game definitely hit the right time for me, so that definitely does like lift it up a little bit. But yeah, overall, it's got so many different play styles, tons of replay value, tons of like loot and things to get. The gameplay is super fast and addicting and varied. The setting is, like I said, really cool, really fun. It's got tons of things to do that honestly aren't repetitive, even though they should be. This is definitely like, I hate to even compare it to a Ubisoft game, but it's one of those open world games where it's like, this area has these collectibles and these camps you need to take out and blah blah blah. It's like got a formula that can be repetitive, but for me, the game just was so good it never got repetitive. Honestly, I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed clearing out all the maps. It didn't really start to get old until like the very end of the game, but at that point I was like 50 plus hours in, and I kept using the same playstyle. If I would have changed my playstyle more often, I probably would have never even gotten slightly tired of this game. So I haven't gotten the platinum on this yet, but I do want to go back and platinum it and play it again with a different playstyle. But yeah, really loved pretty much everything about this game. Not really any complaints. I personally didn't mind the graphics of this game. It obviously looks worse than Ghost of Tsushima, and maybe it could have looked and ran a little bit better, but I don't really care that much about that. I mean, Space Marine 2 on PS5 isn't like the greatest looking thing ever. On performance mode, doesn't really bother me. I would say that like for me, graphics and stuff only really matter on PC when I can actually change it. No real cons for this game. Really enjoyed it. If you like open world action RPGs, you like Japanese culture, definitely go check that out. Go play that game. It needs some more love for sure. But yeah, it's time for us to move on to Game of the Year. And I'm going to be honest, for me, it is not even close. So coming in at the #1 spot, Game of the Year, the GOAT, Monkey. This game blew me away, like genuinely. I had this game on my radar a little bit because I am a Souls guy, but this was not something I was like super looking forward to, and I didn't even get it as soon as it came out. I was actually still finishing Rise of the Ronin when everybody was playing this on release, and man, this game is something else.
This is something else.
I could sit here and glaze this game all day long. I don't even know what to tell you. The fact that this didn't win Game of the Year is a crime, but it won Game of the Year by pretty much every community vote across all the different news outlets and whatnot, so that's all that matters. If the Game Awards weren't voted on by people who don't even play video games, this would have won Game of the Year. But at least it got one award, although I don't think the action game was what it should have gotten. I think that should have been for Space Marine or Stellar Blade, but I'll take a dub where I can get it. This game isn't like 100% a Souls-like, but you know, it's kind of similar. In my opinion, this is without question the best Souls-like that there's ever been and probably ever will be. It's the only game that's kind of like a Souls game that actually captures the feel and the aura and the like passion, the spark of a Souls game. Because in my opinion, none of the Souls likes really capture that like Miyazaki, Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, Bloodborne vibe. Like all those games, just there's like something there, you can just feel it and you're like, this just has aura, this just feels right. Wukong is the only game other than those that has that feeling. I'm just going to go ahead and go down the list. I have a lot of pros and basically no cons at all. This game has the most goated protagonist, obviously, Monkey. You know, you make a monkey your main character and you automatically win. It's got a really good, interesting view of the Chinese culture, which is something that I don't think a lot of us in the West really know about because obviously, especially here in the US, China is seen as the communist bad guys, but I think this game has definitely opened up my interest for Chinese culture. We're starting to see a lot of new Chinese games come out and get announced after this one. One that I'm really looking forward to that looks like a combination of this game and Stellar Blade, which is like a goated freaking combo, is a game called Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. That game comes out next year. Looking forward to that one. This is China's way of saying, you know, we're making our stamp in the video game industry, and I'm definitely looking forward to more games coming from China. It's got a simple but really fun gameplay loop. I thought that this game would get repetitive because you, for the most part, are using the same playstyle the entire game. There's some variation here and there, but it's mostly just the same playstyle. I was wrong. The gameplay, while being very simple, like I said, is super fun. It's got a ridiculous amount of bosses, and they're all pretty solid too, for the most part. This game, especially when you first start playing, it feels like a boss gauntlet. Like, it's just boss here, boss there, boss there. Like, it's ridiculous. One thing that is integral to this game's goated status, in my opinion, is each chapter of this game, which there are 6, feel totally unique. And that keeps the game super replayable and super refreshing the whole way through, especially on like your second, third, fourth playthrough or whatever. Like, you've got a great difficulty balance as well. In my opinion, this game is hard, but not like way too hard. It strikes a really good balance. You got the GOAT, Zhu Baji, goated side character. That dude is absolutely hilarious. The armor upgrading system for the game is really cool because you can upgrade the armor, which not only gives it more perks and makes it better, but also once you get like a lower tier armor set to the highest tier, it will literally change the look of the armor and make it look way cooler. So like one of the best armor sets in the game, if not the best, is an armor set that you originally get at the beginning of the game, a green armor set. But if you rank it up all the way to legendary or whatever it's called, the highest tier, it makes it look way cooler and gives it a really good perk that allows you to build focus points while you're sprinting. So yeah, that's really cool. I threw this in there just for the memes, but China #1. It just had a free DLC update that added like a crap ton of features, like quality of life features, new content, new cosmetics, all this stuff completely for free, like just out of nowhere, which was super awesome. They added a map to the game, which the game did not originally have, like an overlay map. And bro, that map is beautiful. Like, that's one thing, the art style in the game. First off, the graphics are insane. On PS5, it's nerfed a lot, but if you play this game on PC at like 4K Ultra, this game literally looks like real life. It looks insane on 4K Ultra. But the art style, because of like the Chinese culture, is really pretty, really unique. And then as far as like cons, I have 2 cons. One of them isn't a problem with the game, and then the other is like a slight con, but it's not really that big of a deal. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think that the final chapter of this game feels like it was a little bit rushed. I still think it's fine for the most part, but it is a little bit unfinished, which is ironic because the title of the chapter is called Unfinished. But it does have a really cool mechanic that's only available in that chapter that makes it a lot more interesting, kind of saves it. And then I would say the other con, again, this is not a problem with the game. This is a problem with the worst freaking gaming news outlet of all time at this point, which is IGN. To be fair, like, there are some that are worse, but like nobody really cares about them. But IGN has too much influence and they suck. If you work for IGN and you're watching this, look, I'm sorry, but you about to get cooked. They basically, because, you know, over here, people in America don't know that other countries and cultures exist, they pretty much mistranslated a Chinese article from the CEO of this game that basically, when translated poorly, makes it sound like he is some sexist weirdo. I'm not going to get into like all the nitty gritty about that. You can look it all up for yourself if you want. But the reason I bring this up is because that IGN article that they wrote basically claiming the game was sexist kind of ruined the reputation of this game in terms of like the mainstream gaming media. Not that we even really give a crap about them at all, but it did hold this game back from probably getting Game of the Year as well as like more attention in general. Also, they try to say that the game is sexist because it doesn't have women in it, and this is a clear freaking IGN not playing the game moment. None of these guys played past chapter 2 because, spoilers, once you get to chapter 3, women are in the game, and chapter 4 is literally all about a group of women that are in the game. Yeah, regardless, there was some dumb controversy around the game that really was just not warranted because people over here don't understand that different languages have different context and subtext and can often be mistranslated. There is also one more thing I want to say about this game. The secret ending that you get for this game, if you go and do a bunch of crap, is the true ending of this game, and it's like literally one of the best endings, most satisfying endings to a game in a very, very long time. So if you do play this game, in my opinion, the secret ending is the true ending, and you definitely need to get it. However, you have to fight one of the hardest bosses in a long time in order to unlock it. So be prepared for that, but those devs know that that boss was hard, and they reward you with a really awesome finale after the fact. This game is goated, easily my game of the year. Absolutely loved it. Black Myth Wukong, right at the top where it belongs. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea if this video is going to be a success or a disaster. You know, I'm not used to doing videos like this, but it was something that I wanted to try, and hopefully you enjoyed it. A lot of these rankings are pretty close together and could be swapped, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is all super definitive. Except for Wukong 100% at the top, that's probably not going to change. But yeah, this is my list. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that 2024 was good for you guys, and I hope that 2025 can be even better. I have a lot of plans and things I have scheduled for 2025 to hopefully make it the best year I can have on YouTube, and it's definitely going to be a crazy year. I thought 2024 was a crazy year in terms of YouTube and just my life. 2025 about to be even more insane, so hopefully you guys will be along for the ride. Let me know what you think about this kind of content if you want me to do more ranking videos like this in the future. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.